Well, welcome to the next edition of Spilling the Tea in Studio D. I'm quite excited to be here. It's my alma mater. They keep telling me that the statue out front's on order, but I can't help but believe that, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
By the way, Mr. CMS 1985, hey, just
what were
saying.
they thinking?
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
Maybe there was no one else.
I started to say
he's a good politician.
Hey, there was only 40 of us. My chances were pretty dang good, right?
Yeah.
So
probably had to bribe some people, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did with this smile. All right. Hey, very happy to have with us this morning. We've got Miss Heather Slay, who is the media specialist, and I understand you teach. What, are you still teaching English?
No, I am now the EASE facilitator.
Oh, wow.
Here at
Cool.
Caddo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that all kind of
Dual
goes
role.
hand in hand, right?
It does.
Absolutely.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to get started, what we like to do is just basically maybe you tell us, a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Well, born and raised here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Graduated from Lakeside, went to Louisiana Tech. Always thought I would be a teacher. I always loved working with kids and in the whole English and the books and all of that. And so it just kind of fell into play that way. Married my high school sweetheart, who happened to graduate from Lake Hamilton, the rival school.
The rivals, yeah.
Yes, the rival school at the time when we did still play sports. I guess we've gone back to that.
Yeah.
But back then it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
Graduated from Louisiana Tech, lived in Little Rock for a little while, got my career started at Little Rock Catholic High.
Okay.
So all boys high school where, good times. I was the youngest female. I got asked to prom like 3 times my first year. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there were only 5 females on staff.
Oh, my God.
And the rest were in my... Back then, I thought they were old. They're probably my age now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so got my start as the library media specialist, as well as taught usually maybe 1 English class
Right.
a year there. And then moved to Louisiana for a little bit, and then back to home here in Hot Springs, where I started teaching English at Lakeside.
Did you? I was trying to think. You did teach in Louisiana.
I
right?
did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
I stayed home for a little while after the triplets were born. It was a little bit overwhelming.
Oh, I can imagine.
I can't even imagine having to take care of 3 babies.
But the good news is, though, you knew you were having triplets, right?
Yes.
Back in the 60s, when I was born, 67, my mom had twins, had no idea, because back then, I guess the female heartbeat is stronger than the male heartbeat when twins were in there, so we're told anyway.
So you're saying that females are stronger than males? I mean, that's just
that's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, that's exactly.
I'm
what
just saying you got a bigger heart. I don't disagree with that. But anyway, long story short, again, this isn't about you. It's my story. You weren't there yet, so anyway, they were thinking going to have 1 big baby. Come to find out, there was 2 of us. So
I didn't know you had a twin sister.
yeah, I came kicking out first, and then she came in right after me. So 6 minutes later. So yeah. Her beard's not quite as gray as mine, but
Gotcha.
but twins are. I always love it when I say I have a twin sister, and adult people will still say, "Are y'all
they identical?"
Yeah,
I know.
For the love of
It'd
God,
be a medical miracle, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah,
but
people
anyway.
ask me that all the time.
Yeah. So, so Louisiana, then you came to Lakeside, right?
Did. At Lakeside 12 years. Decided that I was going to take a break from teaching. I actually taught in the detention center
Oh yeah.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which one?
Garland County.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And then COVID hit, and we were told we couldn't come, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And so we were stuck at home, and the media specialist job came open here.
Right.
And a friend of mine who taught here at the time, Vicki Phillip, who taught, you might remember Miss Phillips, she taught here forever,
Right.
called me and said, "I want you to apply." And so I thought about it, and I thought, well, why not?
Exactly.
And so I did, and here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was 4 years ago.
Right.
So this is year
Awesome.
4.
Okay.
Awesome.
So the detention center, do you find that those folks there, I mean, they figured some things out, I think, as far as the education piece for the most part, right?
There were a few there getting their GED.
Right. Yes.
And so I was there to help with the
Right.
English
Yeah.
portion
right.
of that.
Right.
as well as anything else I could help with.
Sure.
Candace, we needed you for math. Good Lord. The math portion is hard on the GED.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
it really
listen,
is.
I mean, I'm helping some former students with GED,
Right.
and I will say that, but I got hurt through the math the first time, and the social studies has been a nightmare. Like, finally passed it, but I thought, good grief, I don't think I would pass the social studies.
Right?
That.
I know.
Serious.
I mean, I don't think people realize that it's
tough.
harder.
It really is. It is tough.
It is. And so it was very rewarding. They were very respectful. The prisoners are very respectful. And they'll work really hard for a piece of chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the reason I asked that, because I've visited out there, a handful of times, and that's what I say, when the class, I mean, they were very attentive, but also very engaged. And like I say, I think at that point they somewhat figure out, hey, I'm going to need education. There's something that can help me out of this situation. And with that being said, I saw a couple former students, which, they were kind of like, I said, hey, look, I get it, what's happened. Focus on getting out of here and moving forward.
Live and learn.
That's right.
Yeah, there were a couple of our former students.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that was kind of strange, but you just kind of go with it and you forget.
Oh, yeah.
But it was good. I really did like it. But like I said, COVID hit and we were kind of shut down for a while.
Yeah.
So with the East Facilitator, I mean, obviously probably something I guess you haven't done necessarily, but with your varied background and how that program rolls out, it was probably a great fit, I would think.
Yes, and I have to admit that I like that better than what I thought I would. I would at the time. When I accepted the job, I thought I was just the library media specialist, and then it was a surprise, guess what, kind of thing.
Other duties is assigned, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be the East Facilitator, and I did have a small panic attack. And I think it was Ryan at the time, the youngest child, who made the comment, Mom, do these people know that you don't know how to hook up the VCR DVD player to the TV? And I was like, really, Ryan? Yes, I know how to. But anyway, that was his way of making it funny. Because he's an East kid. And so, but I do like it. I have learned a lot because there were programs and things that I knew nothing about.
Right. But and I love that. I love that class just because the kids they explore and they
take
figure things out on their own, and
they're supposed to. Yes.
You're the facilitator. So
yes.
Really.
And so, and that's a real hard concept for the kids because they think I should be up there actually teaching them how to use certain programs or how to video edit or use Adobe. And I'm like, that's not the way this works.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, if there is a software or something you don't know, there's usually one or two kids in the class that can help you out. So I think that whole teach and learn, give and get back kind of thing is a really, like you said, a cool concept.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's been fun and seeing what they can come up with. Of course, they've made me stretch myself because I never ever dreamed that we would have a greenhouse and a garden.
Right.
Which we do. Because that's not something that I do at home.
Right.
They also started a recycling program.
Oh, cool.
Which it's great, but I never thought I would be in charge of. And so it's a lot some days. You never know what we're going to do or come up with. So
break up your day for us. How much is East and how much is
the library?
Yeah.
So I am in East 3 class periods for the day, which is just about the right number and really needs to stay that way next year. East.
Hey, make all the promises you can, right? Write that check you won't be cashing. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Make the promises. Make the promises.
Yes, because the previous year I had 4.
Right.
And so I would be in the library one period. I would run downstairs for East. I would run back. And so it was kind of an up-down thing. And kids were coming to the door of the East room to check out books.
Oh, yeah.
And so sometimes you kind of run yourself ragged.
Oh, yeah. Obviously you say books and we look around, we're surrounded by them. And I think that's something people, the assumption is no need for books anymore, with everything at your disposal with some kind of tablet or computer or what have you. But they're just kids, I find, and I'm one of these people when it comes to reading.
Tangible.
Yes, I love to have an actual book in my hand.
Me too.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of kids that do read, and they'll come in requesting certain genres.
Right.
And certain authors, and so they do and they'll tell you. I mean, they don't like reading everything on a Chromebook.
Right. Oh yeah.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
they would rather have the actual book.
Oh
Yeah. And I think it's just so important just to find what that kid loves and get them hooked on reading, because a lot of times.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, for me, I'm not a big nonfiction. I'm like.
Yeah, that's me. I'm more biography kind of person, or
or a drama or something, but just different people. You got to find that for those kids. I think that you
with
probably
their
play a role in
Oh,
trying to
for
find
sure.
I like to think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
They they're fun to work with. We have book club.
Oh.
We have like an intervention time
Mm-hmm.
here, and so for kids that aren't going to intervention, I offer book club.
Right.
And so they'll come in and we'll talk about what they're reading, and
Right.
we try to plan some crafts and some things around books, or and so they actually look forward to it and tell me, would you make sure that you pick me next week for book club? And that's fun. They want to be in here.
And kids like to see their, I think, teachers and principals reading. And I remember when I was teaching at Lakeside, and I'm not a big reader, I'm a math person, but I do like to read. It's just trying to make myself find the time. And I had a kid come in and said, "Oh, Miss Bennett, you got to read." It's when the Twilight series came out.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, I've been so busy. I was like, okay, I'll start reading it, because they all were reading it, so it gave me something to connect with them. So I got hooked on it. So I get to the third book, and this kid's like, I was like, oh, somebody's got it checked out. And one of my students was like, I've got it, but she's like, I'm only on chapter 2, so if you want to take it home this weekend. I'm like, yeah, I'll read it and bring it back. And so I brought it back. That they said, you really read the whole book over the weekend? I was like, yeah, it was so good. I was like, you got to hurry up and finish it, But they loved it because you have that connection with them. So
Right. That's funny you mentioned that, because the librarian from Garland County Library was here yesterday, and he brought a free copy of Twilight.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, for the kids.
Yeah.
So we got into a debate whether or not we were going to be Team Jacob or Team Edward,
Team
who was the
Jacob.
cutest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big deal there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. We had a good time with it. Even teaching math, we talked a lot about.
They were appalled that I was Team Jacob.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it usually
I was
works
Team
out
Edward.
that way.
I was Team Edward. So
So we're pretty fortunate in Garland County. Got a very active media specialist group, right?
Yes.
And I think talk a little bit about some of the things that you guys do together to promote reading and different things.
Well, Carly Sanchez, the elementary library, and this week we've had Read Across America.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I've been sending the high school kids down to read to her kids and to also give book talks. And that went over even better than what really I thought it was going to go over.
Yeah.
I had one kid, when she finished yesterday, she came to my classroom and said, Miss Lay, thank you so much. That was so much fun. The kids asked questions, and Miss Sanchez said I was awesome.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I knew you would be great at it. That's why I told you I wanted you to go down there and give a book talk. But you could tell, awesome. She was super excited by it. And it had me thinking that we probably should do more of that.
Yeah.
Because it was great, to see the big kids get so excited.
Sure.
I've got tons of pictures.
Yeah, and let them get back a little bit,
Exactly. So we've been doing that, kind of an exchange, and different people have been coming in this week. You will probably remember one of them, Rachel Shakles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
She was here Wednesday, and she brought some of her books that she's written and talked about the process, how to publish.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she brought an autographed copy of her book for all the kids that were here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. The thing about Rachel, back in the day, she was the cookbook queen at Christmas.
Yes.
I mean, everybody would throw in
a recipe. I still have all those.
Yeah. I've got a couple I found.
Wow.
I guess maybe back during the holidays or something. We found them, but yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Forgot that.
That's something that Carly and I do, but I know that the librarians all beat up. Dawson, you guys offer up something for us all to meet up and talk about things that are important to us, which is great.
Yeah, and we try to do that as best we can. We talk about that a lot. One of the things that, and I think from time to time, we, I don't know, maybe take it for granted if that's the right way of saying it, but it's the importance of getting in those work-alike groups, right?
Yes.
And if nothing else, just to say, hey, we're facing some of the same things.
Right.
And, in every work-alike group that we have folks that are super experienced, some in the middle, some just beginning. And I think it's good for everybody. because I think some of the the ones that are just getting into it are freaking out maybe over some stuff, just for not having been down that road. And then on the flip side of that, we were talking to a young teacher yesterday, and I forgot what her phrase was when the argument. What was the thing?
It was next subject.
Yeah.
Because I thought about that last night.
Yeah. So if kids, she said that's something her and her husband have done for a while. She learned it from I guess his parents, but anyway, he said some kids were arguing the other day, and she was like, next subject, and they looked at her and said they just moved right on. But she shared that with a teacher that had been in the classroom for a while, which to me, I think it's kind of a neat concept.
Definitely, definitely.
But that's my point is with those work-alike groups, there's something I think that everybody can learn, something that everybody can bring to the table.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes the new people are highly creative, too.
Right.
Because they're not as tired, maybe.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring that fresh, fresh
And so it's always nice. And, we're pretty much the Lone Rangers in our building.
Oh,
right.
There's no one other than Harley for me to collaborate with. So it's nice to meet with other high school librarians as well.
Yeah. And like I say, I hate to give Katie any kind of accolade, but she's done a pretty good job of pulling that group together.
She has.
Yeah, it's great. And so I'm glad that my principal has allowed me to attend those meetings.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
awesome.
I feel like it's pretty important. So, what are some of the other things? I know in a small school, this is my alma mater, and I know that in a small school, it's kind of give and take. Give is, I would say, the small school atmosphere. I feel like you really have the opportunity to put your hands on every single kid, whereas in some of the larger districts, only a certain amount of kids will pass through. They take part sometimes as you do wear so many hats, right?
I would agree with that. I do like the idea that I can walk down the hall and probably name almost every kid.
Right. Yeah.
And when I do see a new face, I can go up to them and go, now who are you? I don't know you.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't recognize you. Are you new? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, well, there you go.
Right.
And so that angle's great. But the lots of hats. I also I'm the building test coordinator.
Yep. Check.
Busy.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we're entering that season. Atlas testing.
New testing.
Yeah, to start. And so that's probably one of the hats that I could take off and toss
Yeah. Right.
into the abyss.
Yeah.
And so out of everything, and I help with some clubs. I don't mind that as much.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun because that's interaction with the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
But the testing component,
Yeah. Well,
not so much fun.
The best advice I can give you there is keep moving, right? They can't ask you if they can't catch you, right? That's the one thing I think is important. That's just free advice right there.
I have tried, Mr. Beckwood, but not so fortunate as,
They know your hiding spots is what you're saying.
They do.
I guess. But that's really the only.
At least the first year you get through that new.
Yes.
And then you kind of know what to expect.
Yes. You got used to one test, and guess what? We have a new one. So here you go.
Right. Well, and how many years total you have in Arkansas?
Not that many.
Yeah.
16. Because private school experience, it may count towards your pay, but it does not count towards your Arkansas teacher retirement.
Gotcha.
Your Louisiana retirement is a separate entity. And so
did you get vested over there or not?
At Lakeside?
In Louisiana.
No.
Okay.
Because we were only there 5 years.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Ooh, so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's all good. And so it's fine.
I mean, folks talk about. I've friends of mine and folks, colleagues have talked about teaching other states and the ability to buy back those years. They say it's all good in theory till you start.
Till you have to see how much it costs to buy back.
I looked into it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And it was an obscene amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Just not even worth it.
Well, and I think that's what they said. By the time you weigh it out,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth that big hit to get it because, it'd be forever before you recouped all that money.
The loss,
Yes.
And so I just was like, oh, well.
Yeah, well, Candace and I, we're proud to say this is year
28.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So believe it or not, we student taught together.
Really?
Yeah.
I know. It's just
Yeah, and
I don't color my hair either. So
that
tells
is
you
an
how old
absolute
you are.
lie. That is an absolute lie.
No, that's not a lie.
You don't color your hair. I guess that
Not at
gray
all.
that pops out once in a
The
while
gray is back here. It's
magically
still back
disappears.
here. Yeah.
Magically disappears.
Have not colored it.
Well,
I,
Not yet.
I haven't either.
Yes,
Yeah.
I admit.
but I mean,
Katie has. I'm just saying.
Katie has. Now, I mean, I have before, but now this is natural with the gray in the back. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna let it go gray. I think
That-
I'm gonna
yeah.
be like Darren.
That's a
Just,
good look.
Hey, I'm
That's
just
right.
gonna rock the gray. You know.
But at 28, I mean, we still got a lot of life left in us. I can promise
yeah.
you that.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, the cool thing about it is these kinds of things, getting out, seeing the districts, the kids, that kind of stuff for sure. So, how many kids in the senior class, roughly? Around 50.
Yeah.
Woo, man, they've had a growth spurt since I was
I was
there.
gonna say how many?
40.
You had 40. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I was in the top 10%. I was number 10. How about that? So, anyway,
Mr. Cutter Morningstar.
1985.
Cutter.
That's right, exactly.
1985.
we'll have to remember that, won't we?
Yeah.
I was,
oh, yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
Well, how old was I? 11.
Yeah, exactly. And the sad thing is, I say this a lot. This speaks to me and my ability to hire good people. I've hired Candace twice.
I know. What were you thinking?
Man, what was I thinking? Yeah.
Aw.
So, but through the years, talk about maybe some of the changes, good, bad, or ugly, that you've seen in education.
Okay. Probably the worst thing to come along was the cell phone. Truly.
It's pros and cons. Pros
Right.
and cons.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I first started teaching, kids didn't have cell phones. I mean,
Right.
heck, I didn't have a cell phone. Who am I
Right.
kidding?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think they were maybe more engaged,
Right.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's hard to get them off of their cell phone.
Right.
And so you have to work really hard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for student engagement. And there's still that temptation. Even the engaged kids want to cheat and look
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
because, you
Yeah.
know, the Snap stories or what have you.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
all want to
What's
see
coming
what
through.
who's
Yeah.
doing what.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I think by far the cell phone is probably the worst.
And
It's-
it's been kind of interesting to watch the progression of that too,
Yes.
because when they first came out I was a high school principal at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and man, it was like lockdown. If they've got them, man, you're going to phone jail. You're not getting it back. Your parents got to come get it. And then it got to the point to, well, you know, it's kind of like chewing gum and sticking it on the table. The thing to do is let them chew gum. They don't do that. But finding that balance, you know, because like you're saying,
Now they're going back to, okay, we're locking them up. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're putting
right,
them up.
right.
It's hard
Yeah.
because they're very creative with them
Yeah.
and they're very talented.
Right.
They could have them in their lap and text and not look at the,
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Always a step ahead.
sitting,
Yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah.
really are, and they'll sit on it, you know, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, and then they're creative with the cheating with it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you know,
Yeah. Well, we talked to again a younger teacher yesterday, and she was talking about, you know, one of the things that her kids complain about. Well, I didn't have time to do X, or I don't have time. She said, okay, exercise with your phone. Pull your phone out. Let's look at the number of hours you were on your phone, and I'm asking you to give me 30 minutes, and you were on your phone
Exactly.
Yeah.
a bazillion
How many
hours
hours,
last
yeah.
week. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
that is a big one. But technology in general, because I think about, and again, obviously I'm dating myself, but I think I think about the old slide machine or whatever they call that thing, and then they went to projectors, and now pretty much people are just putting up smart boards or TVs or that kind of thing. So
yeah.
yeah,
And they all, I mean, and I guess it's good that if you look at the technology from a good angle, the way things have changed, it
Right.
is nice to have that more advanced
Right.
technology in the classroom. I mean,
Right.
back when I started teaching, a Promethean board, are you kidding?
mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
mean, I was using chalk, y'all.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Exactly.
You know, I remember buying colored chalk, thinking this will, help engage kids, and now we have the Promethean board. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and so that's been I think a positive.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to work a little harder to get the kids
Right.
engaged
Yeah.
now, but I think there's so many other pressing things
Sure.
to them.
So do y'all have like an online library, so to speak? I mean, is there access to
The card
something?
catalog, is that
yeah.
yeah, Destiny, and that's
Yeah.
probably pretty much what every librarian here in the
Right.
county uses.
Right.
So yeah, they can access it online, and they could put holds on books
Oh,
online,
wow.
and
yeah.
and do all that. I mean, don't you? I mean, here I'll date myself
Yeah.
too. I mean, don't you remember having to
Oh,
go through a
for sure.
Yeah.
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 or typing a paper, not on a
Yeah.
computer, people,
Yeah.
but
Ninth
on the
grade.
old fashioned.
Oh yeah.
Ninth grade, we were typing. But then we got like 2 computers in the class, and it was like,
oh,
whoa.
Was it well, I can tell you the very first one we had here at Cutter Morning Star was the Commodore VIC 64, and basically you could I guess the biggest thing, it taught you to program, but I mean it took you forever.
Yeah, 10th grade we had a whole lab of computer, like it was like, I mean, I'm totally dating myself.
No, we didn't even have that when I was. I mean, we had a few,
it was 10th grade year because we were just like, well, 9th grade we actually had access to a couple in the class. But we were still typing. I mean, we were still doing the typewriter.
Yeah,
I mean, I was telling the kids, I mean, citations in a paper. I mean, you had to scroll down to the bottom and do all this ridiculous stuff, and it was awful.
It was terrible.
And totally. Now we have Easy Bib, and you just plug. You know, they don't know how good they have it.
No,
I can remember having to go even do the microfiche thing. Just
at college. That was
no,
crazy.
I was in charge at Catholic High. We had that. The microfiche and the microfilm, and I was in charge of keeping up with the kids. Used it, but that was.
Yeah. See, there. Pros and cons.
There are pros and cons
with the cons. Yeah.
And teaching. Responsibility with the phone and whatnot is a big part of it.
And that's the thing. I think in finding that balance, that's the key to it.
It's definitely a balance.
Oh yeah, and what I find too, most kids are going to honor that. But I mean, some things change, some things don't. You're always going to have that kid that's going to be, think I got this. Got to be one step ahead or whatever. And the good thing about being a principal, I used to tell kids, hey, look, you're not reinventing anything. I either did it, thought about it, tried it, or got caught doing it. So hey, look, you need to realize this ain't my first rodeo.
Just different avenues of rebelling.
Exactly. They're still finding ways to try to stay ahead of us.
Yeah.
So obviously, I bet it's been kind of neat as a parent though, having having the triplets.
Yes.
And then you have Ryan. You say that's a junior. So seeing what they had available even versus what he has for him today, right?
Yes, especially class wise.
Yeah.
And whatnot. He's part of the Cyber Patriot team.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
At Lakeside, so he's been taught to be a good hacker.
Right. Yeah.
Like his older brother.
Right. Yeah.
But and so just things like that. Who would have thought?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. I think about even some of the tools that teachers have, at their disposal. Again, like I said, Smartboard, Prometheums, whatever the case may be, and and it's only going to get better to a degree. But at the end of the day, they've still got to learn, the basics, read, write, arithmetic, if I have to say that. Right. So looking back across, your career so far, what advice would you give to somebody that's considering education as a profession?
First off, I think you have to really love kids and love working with them. It's one thing to love teaching English.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But you have to consider your audience and who you're dealing with.
That's so true. Yeah.
Every day. And, just because you're really, really good at English does not mean you belong in a classroom working with kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that...
You got to love kids for sure.
Absolutely. And second, I always tell the young teachers, maintain and keep a sense of humor.
Oh, yes. Yep.
You absolutely have to have a sense of humor in this profession.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot let things
don't take it personal.
Exactly.
No. Yeah.
You have to, and learn to laugh at yourself and with the kids, so they can see that you're human.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
So speaking of that, we always ask too on the old podcast here, an embarrassing moment as a teacher. What would be an embarrassing moment? Everybody's got them, right?
Oh, I have a lot of them.
Yeah. So well, let's just say that you could share for the podcast audience. We'll say it that way. So,
oh Lord. Okay. So, and I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud.
We've heard that before. We've heard it before. Yeah.
Just wait for it, stage.
Yeah.
All right. So there was this time and this was at Lakeside. I mean, luckily I may have had some things here, but I don't think it's been to this extreme. You may remember Miss Lucy. Okay. So Renee Lucy. So she was in my little pod. So she was right there with me, and she was always lots of fun, and things would come out of her mouth that I would never have said.
Right, yeah.
I wasn't brave enough. But I was 7 months pregnant, And I remember in between classes running down to the girls' restroom like to totally beat all the students, right?
Right.
Because I thought I was going to die. You know this.
Oh,
you probably don't.
No.
But okay, so
He can't relate. Yeah.
I ran down and I was in a hurry because I think my next class I didn't want to leave my back turned to them for too long.
Yeah.
I came running back and Miss Lucy was looking at me and she started dying laughing and I'm like, what? And she's like, Heather, look down. And I'm one of those people that when she's pregnant she's huge, So I looked down at my feet and there was like toilet paper all wrapped around my feet. And I had been running up and down the hall with like
That's
toilet
awesome.
paper all wrapped
That's a
around
good
my
one.
feet.
Yeah.
And Renee was laughing so hard and she goes, you're going to have to get that off, girl, before you go into class. I'm like,
my
you bet I am. But
God.
and I'm looking around thinking, how many kids
Yeah.
have
How many-
this?
yeah.
At least she told me before I went into the classroom. But it was the kind of thing where I thought,
Yeah.
oh, dear Lord.
Oh my gosh.
Well-
At that point, you just got to be like, well,
Yeah.
Well, and I couldn't see it, in my defense. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Well, but it kind of humanizes you.
Yeah.
That happens, right? You know?
yeah.
So
That was embarrassing to me. Just gonna say.
well, but hey, that's not too bad. We've had worse.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. And so as looking down the road, let's just say,
Sure.
plans. I mean, your plans to, stay where you're. I don't necessarily mean physically because sometimes opportunities pop up. I get that, but I mean, is it the library media specialist area?
Yes.
You would stay in for sure. You think?
Yes. This is. I had always wanted to go back after Catholic High.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the opportunity never arose until this job
Right. Yeah.
came
That's awesome.
available, and so. But yeah, I mean, I love working. With the kids, with the books, and
Yeah.
yes, I will admit that I like working with them with ease now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I said that out loud, but I don't ever want to have more than 3 class periods
Yeah. Go ahead.
because
I think you can guarantee that at this point, right? Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
just because it's just so hard to,
Yes, to manage back both. Yeah.
Well,
I get it.
and another thing that's pretty prominent with kids is music. So,
Yes.
So, what's on your playlist? Number one, and then number two, do you try to listen to some of their suggestions just so you can relate?
Okay, listen, that music thing. Don't even. Okay, so I have my Hair Nation in the car, and that's what I listen to.
Oh yeah.
So a hair band has to be an 80s hair band for me. My children were raised up on classic rock and
there
hair
we go.
bands.
Doing it right. Yeah.
That's exactly right. I mean, Emily, the one who is in vet school, she likes to play the piano and sing and entertain in clubs, nightclubs for extra spending money for fun. It's like her outlet. And so she always tells people that she was raised up to be a classically trained pianist, but since her parents listened to nothing but classic rock, that's what they were getting. So
That's awesome.
so that's there you have it. So
awesome.
so anything from my playlist is probably going to be something like Bon Jovi or Def Leppard.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or
little-
Guns N' Roses.
the
I
occasional
love
White
them.
Snake, right?
Yeah. So
them
it's
all.
it's going to be a mixture of. So there's not going to be really one of those. It's going to be a plethora of.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're on mine too.
Yeah. And so as far as listening to the kids' music, rap is just not
I
my
like it.
thing.
Yeah, I like I like everything really, but
Do
I
you?
do love all the hair bands.
And so I've tried to listen to some new music.
Yeah.
My daughters have tried to convince me that Taylor Swift is just wonderful, and it's just okay to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, I guess I'm kind of set in my ways, but as far as relating to them, music might be a struggle. I'm not going to lie.
You're like, I'll listen once.
Yeah.
I'll listen once, I'll give it a shot, and then generally I'm not going to like it. I'm going to go back to my Hair Nation.
Well,
It's just the way it is.
What I love about it, sometimes the kids come up and they'll go, "Hey, man, have you heard this new song?" And you're like, "What?" And it'll be one of the classic rock songs.
Yes.
And we're like, that ain't new. That's when music was music.
That's
Come
when
on.
music was good.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right, exactly.
Makes you feel old then because you're like, oh, yeah,
Exactly.
I listened to that in junior high.
Oh,
Well, and most of them are like dying out or the bands are discontinued. And so,
Yeah, I can remember. This is a great story. So I was at Lakeside High School, so we had a good relationship with Steve Harrison down there, and through the years with The Game and all that stuff. But he comes was out to Bruce and I when I said, "Hey man, we got tickets left over for KC and the Sunshine Band." We're like, and the Village people were like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like that'd be fun." So we go, take our wives, and so. Of course, the Village people aren't the Village people. I mean, it's like 4.0, I guess, at that time. But Casey, he comes out and he's singing his songs, and we're thinking this is going to be pretty good. But he did it right. He had all these young dancers around him. So I mean, he's moving like the snail pace, and I mean they're just going and huffing and puffing between each song.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh Lord, So
yeah, it's funny.
But at the end of the day, I go back to what you're saying. That genre right there, that's the one that stood the test of time. And obviously a country guy, worked in country radio for years, but even that's going back around to the 90s. I mean, when they're saying, "Hey, this is 90s country, listen to this song" or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
man, doesn't that make you feel old?
Not really.
Right?
90s country.
No.
Well, look how long ago that was.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you think it in your mind, but if you take time to really calculate it, it was a long time.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mathematically, I can do that math.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and kind of wrap it up here. But I guess one thing I would ask you, maybe the last question is legacy. I mean, I'm one of these guys that believes in living your legacy. Therefore, that will be the legacy you leave. But what do you hope people will remember most about you as you work toward living and leaving your legacy?
I think I would really hope that the kids remember that I cared about them.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe I made a difference or some sort of impact in their life, or sometimes it's not the subject that they remember; it's the experiences.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I coached the chess team at Lakeside, a lot of those kids will still see me. I still play chess, Miss Slay.
Yeah.
I still remember when you took us here, and do you remember when I snuck off to that hot tub and sat in there with a bunch of girls and I wasn't supposed to? Yes, I remember that.
That's right. Yeah.
So they remember the experiences.
Oh yeah, they do.
And
how much you cared.
Yeah. And that's the cool part about it, because we talk about that a lot. I mean, sometimes we'll run into former students, and it may be a kid that was quiet. You didn't think. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. But as they mature and become adults, they'll come back with a story similar to say, "Hey, you remember?" Or you said this, and it made me think about a certain thing. Yeah. So that's the cool part.
It is cool.
Well, keep up the great work. You know what I'm saying?
Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Absolutely. And so like I say, keep fighting the good fight out there. And
got to
keep your eyes on the cell phones, right? As Candace sees, she's been cheating the whole time we've been.
I didn't look. I was checking time. I was kind of checking time for us to make sure we weren't going over, because I figured Katie was back there going, "Come on." Okay. I didn't look at her. But.
Well, okay. Again, thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for coming.
You betcha. And that'll wrap up this edition of Spilling the Tea in Studio D.